This is a huge loss. This was supposed to be your person, your soulmate, someone who you imagined a whole life with, and now they're out of your life. It's incredibly painful. Hi guys, I'm Maham. Just to introduce myself, I'm just an average person. I'm not a coach or a therapist. I've just had to deal with this sort of hardship, and I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons that I want to share along with you. I was in a long-term relationship for pretty much the entirety of my 20s. I got married at 26 and got divorced at 28. That was just less than a year ago. I made it my sole mission to heal from this as healthily as possible. I didn't want to speed up the process. I wanted to do it in a way where I could come out a lot stronger. And now, thankfully, I am proud to say that I have come out the other end, and I feel really happy and content with my life, so much to the point where I want to share this with other people, because it doesn't have to ruin your life. It doesn't have to be something that you never heal and recover from. You totally can. Beforehand, I used to have really low self-worth. I had very low confidence about myself. I never in a million years thought I would become the person I am today. I was one of those types of people who really depended on others and really thought that being in a relationship was like my whole sole purpose in life, and that is the only way to achieve happiness. As to a lot of us, I mean, that's just the way our society makes us think, is that marriage equals happiness, being in a relationship equals happiness, and that's the only way you can obtain it. And if you're single and you're alone, you must be miserable. But that's not true, and I've learned that. I have been on an incredible self-growth, self-love journey. I don't know what to call it, but I feel really content and at peace with my life, and I really want to inspire others to come along this journey with me. A little bit about this video in terms of how these videos are going to be formatted. I wanted to speak to you person to person. I want to speak to you as if you're my sister, because that's someone who I deeply care and have a lot of love for. When I went through this process, I didn't have many people to talk to. I just had my therapist and my sister, and those were like the two most important people in my world at that time, and that was enough for me. But if you don't even have that, hopefully I can be that one person that you can go to and watch these videos. Obviously you've clicked on this because the person that you thought was your person, that you thought was your soulmate, the love of your life, someone who you would grow old with together, has decided they no longer want you in their life. And that is so painful. It's one of those things in life that's indescribable, the pain. And only people who've been through it truly understand how devastating it is, because you imagined a whole life with this person. You know, this person who knows all of your quirks, knows every little thing about you, has decided to no longer want you in their life. And that is rejection at its finest. It is such a devastating type of pain, and it's a different type of pain and grief. I'd argue it's different than someone even dying, because that person is still there. Death is inevitable. It's something that we all have to go through. But deciding to end a relationship is a choice that someone had made, and they made that decision for you. Or maybe you both came to a point where you made that decision together. Either way, or even if you ended it, either way, the heartbreak, the pain, I get it. I want you to know I fully understand it. It's so painful. And it's hard to believe that this happened for a reason at this point, and it's hard to believe that you're going to look at it as a blessing in disguise. But if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it is your life is going to change in such incredible ways, and you're going to learn so much about yourself. And you're going to become so much stronger and beautiful inside and out and confident. And oof, I don't want to get ahead of myself, because right now we're grieving, okay? But I just want you to know that it's going to be fine and you're going to do great. The grief that you're going to feel for this is going to be quite a bit. It's going to be a lot, because you're not just grieving that person. You are grieving a future that you had imagined with that person. You know, you two had built this whole life together and wanted to continue building in the future, and the loss of that, I think, is arguably as painful as the loss of that person. So there's a lot of things you're going to be grieving. It's not going to be just that person. It's going to be that future that you had imagined with that person. Honestly, looking back now, one of the hardest things about this process is that you just have so much love. You know, you have so much love with no place to go anymore. Like, you had put in all that love into that one person, and now it's like, what do I do with this? And I want you going forward to look at this pain that you're experiencing and understand that this is a reflection of your love. And this is a reflection of all the love that you could give to someone. You know, how beautiful is that? That's pretty dang beautiful. We're going to talk about the 5 stages of grief. So the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. And the important thing to know about these 5 stages of grief is that it is not linear, my friend. You're going to bounce back and forth between them all the time. It's probably not even going to be in this order that I listed. Growth is not linear. There's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. There's going to be days where you think you're fully over it, and then boom, something hits you and you realize you're not as over it as you thought you were. The key is give it time. Time really does heal. Like, that saying is very true. I've realized everyone has their own time. You cannot put a time limit to this. As much as you want to, everyone's different. And I think the timing really correlates with how long you've been in the relationship, how it ended, and then also the state at which you're at. You know, how healed are you? How do you look at life in general? Support. Who do you have around you that you can bounce off ideas with? Who can you talk to over and over and over about the same damn thing, and they'll listen to you each time? That all really makes a difference. So don't put a time to it, but I can guarantee you that if you watch my videos, you will do it the fastest way possible for you. I'm going to tell you what to do, how to do it in these next videos, so please definitely stick around. So we're not going to spend too much time on talking about denial because I think that's like a pretty short-lived stage for most people. Usually you don't go back to it afterwards. Okay, so now let's talk about anger. Okay, our best friend, anger. Anger is our bestie. Most likely you're going to be angry with that person. You're going to find all these things that are shitty about them, and you're going to want to blame them for everything. And this is very, very common because we don't want to accept that any of it could be our fault, possibly. Not that it's any one person's fault, but you know, both of you had contributed to the growth of the relationship, and both of you have contributed to the demise of it. You're going to think of all the reasons where they went wrong, and you know, all of it's them. It could not have been possibly me because I'm perfect, and how could they leave me, and they're crazy. And you're going to probably diagnose them with some sort of personality disorder and look up online so many problems that they have, and really that's not doing you any favor. It really isn't, because you're taking all that time blaming them. You're putting all your energy and efforts there where you could be actually putting it into yourself and learning, okay, what things did I do wrong? Not wrong, but what things can I do differently in the future that will be more healthy? You're not just going to be angry at your partner, though. You're going to be angry at the world. You're going to be angry at the universe. And if you're religious, you're going to be angry at God, because why would God do this to you? And all your friends are happy and married and having kids, and you're the one who didn't get it. Like, you were deprived. Like, why me? Why did this happen to me? And you're going to just be angry at everything in general. Like, you know, what did I do to deserve this? I'm a good person. I've done everything right. I've studied in school. I've listened to my parents, and now I'm getting a divorce. You're going to be angry. You're going to be angry at the person. You're going to be angry at the universe. You're going to be angry at God. And you might even be angry at your friends and other people who have what you quote unquote want. You know, if they're in a relationship, if they have kids. Okay, so anger, I appreciate anger because it tells us everything that we're not happy with in our life. I used to be ashamed of my anger, and I used to want to suppress it. But now I've learned that it's actually one of the most important ways to know whether you're happy with something in your life or not. You know, it tells you something's wrong with your life. Anger is there for a reason, so you should listen to it. Anger is normal. Anger is healthy. Anger is fine. So embrace this. The bargaining stage. So in the bargaining stage, it encompasses a lot of begging for that person telling them, you'll do anything, you're going to do anything to make it work, you'll go to therapy, you'll change, you both will try to change and make it work. And it's really just a denial of reality. If you have already done the begging and you feel ashamed of it and you feel really embarrassed or just like low, I want you to look at that version of you with a lot of compassion and give yourself grace, because that reaction was done in a moment where something that's really important to you was threatened. Like, you want to have a future with this person. Obviously, no one wants to break a relationship, so you'll try everything you possibly can to make it work. There's so much more complexity to it that occurs, and I feel like in this stage, doing a lot of work on attachment styles is really important, especially if you have an anxious attachment style. You probably will tend to beg more, and you probably will be stuck in this bargaining phase for a while, because it's kind of hard for you to conclude that this person is no longer in your life, and you may think that you can do anything to get them back, and this is not actually happening, and you'll do anything to avoid the pain, basically. If you're in this stage a lot and you're stuck on this, I highly recommend Attached, the book Attached. This was a life-changing book for me. I really learned a lot about my attachment style. If you were at the bargaining phase and you kind of feel ashamed or guilty about it, I just want you to give yourself more grace. It's totally normal. So accept this stage as well. After bargaining, now comes in depression. Oh, depression. This is the stage we've all been avoiding because it's arguably the most painful stage. This is where you're really going to feel the pain. And here is my number one tip for this stage. You gotta go through it. You gotta embrace it. Really just go through this stage. Don't avoid this. If you avoid this stage, you will prolong your healing. I guarantee you. If you try to avoid the pain, you're gonna prolong your healing. And ways people really avoid this stage is by submerging themselves into work or working out or distracting themselves, going out partying, being in relationships and other relationships, drugs, all these things that are going to delay your healing. So really try to just life is not meant to be happy 24/7. It really isn't. And it's okay to grieve. It's okay to cry. It's okay to stay in bed all day, man. Like, we don't normalize this enough as a society. Just like, wipe your tears, get over it, come back to work the next day. Like, if you need to take some time off for yourself, do it, because it's going to help you in the long run. It's going to benefit you in the future. If you take time for yourself right now and allow yourself to grieve, you're going to help yourself in the future. I came across this video online about this girl explaining grief and how your life is a box and grief is this ball, okay? And there's this red button on the wall. And every time someone brings up that person or topic, the ball hits the red button and you just become overwhelmed with this sadness and grief. A lot of people told me as I was going through this process that you never really you never forget this person. Like, your grief is always going to be there. And I was just like, what? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean my grief is always going to be there? It's not the ball that gets bigger. It's not the grief that gets bigger. It's the box. So your life gets bigger, okay? The people that are in your life, you're going to meet more people. Your life's going to become more enriching. It's going to be more fulfilling, and you're going to have a lot more things that will bring you happiness than that one person. It's not like that grief will ever go away, but your life will get bigger. And then the last stage is acceptance. All right. Now, just because you reach this stage doesn't mean you're finally over the healing. As I mentioned earlier in this video, grief is not linear. So you're going to go back between these stages. But acceptance is pretty self-explanatory. It's accepting what life has handed you. And the term radical acceptance really, really helped me out a lot. Radical acceptance is just acknowledging that nothing is guaranteed to stay in your life. No person, no thing, not even your health, not even you, is guaranteed to, be 100% perfect all the time. No one's life is like that. Everyone has hardships. Everyone loses one of these really important things, and we all have to deal with it. And that's the beauty of life. To not go through this hardship is to not experience the beauty of life. You can't live a life avoiding hardships, and hardships add a certain texture to life. It adds some depth to your life, because if you were just living without any pain, without any hardships, you'd be living a very one-dimensional life, and you wouldn't be able to experience the depthness, the richness, the beauty, the actual fulfilling life that you can have had you not experienced this hardship. Life is so much deeper. It's so much more beautiful. The only way they can get there is if you accept what's been given to you and you try to go through it with as much grace as you can. Then I will guarantee you will have a much more fulfilling and enriching life. So acceptance is acknowledging that maybe you didn't want things to happen this way, but it did. And now you get to decide what you want to do next. Another book that I really, really recommend is called Welcome Home by Najwa Zebian. And this book was also one of the fundamental books that I read that helped change my life. And in that book, she really talks about the concept of pain and how we shouldn't avoid it. And you treat pain as like a guest to your home. You invite them in, you invite the pain in, you allow it to sit, you give it a cup of tea, you talk to that pain, you listen to that pain, you acknowledge that pain, and then you respectfully tell it, okay, it's time to leave now. Goodbye. You don't need the pain to overstay its welcome. It's not going to be there forever. It's not going to be as painful as it is forever, especially if you go through it in a healthy way, which you can hopefully learn through my videos. So I want you to see this as a test in life to strengthen the relationship with the most important person in this world, and that's you. So if you made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you so much. I think if I had met you in real life, we would probably get along really well and become best friends, because clearly we have a similar style. If I could just help one person heal and come out of this as a stronger and happier person, then consider my job done. Stay tuned for the next video, hang in there, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.